Ave, true to Christ. Hey everybody, this is Catholic Trash Talk, and today we are going to be continuing the Jesus challenges from the Radical Like Jesus series book that Greg Stier wrote. I'll have a playlist in the channel that'll say Jesus challenges or something like that. That'll have all these videos, just like my other series. Even though he has 21 challenges, I set them up so they're standalone videos, so you don't have to watch them in any order. And that's the main purpose of this. But just to remind you guys, the goals of this series is 1, to point out the dangers of Protestantism, 2, to give you guys everyday challenges that you can do, 3, to grill my Protestant self and hold us all to a higher standard. So let me get the video set up and we'll get right into it.
This verse in the Bible we all know, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have eternal life. For God so loved the world. And we are called to love everyone. And that's something that really sets us apart as believers in Christ, is the love that we have for one another, but also the love we have for the lost. Jesus loved everyone, and we need to love those around us with the love of Christ. And sometimes that's a difficult thing to do. I'll never forget one Thanksgiving day. My mom, who used to watch elderly patients at the time, invited my wife and I to go to Thanksgiving to a restaurant that wasn't really that great of a restaurant, but she was going to take one of her elderly patients with her. And her name was Janet, and Janet had scratches all over her face because she used to just scratch herself, and she couldn't eat that really well. Food would fall out of her mouth, and she couldn't talk that well. She was not very cogent. And to be honest with you, we're across, my wife and I, and my wife is so sweet, and she's got the gift of mercy, and she was, loving on everybody. She does that naturally. I struggle sometimes with that a little bit more. And this lady, Janet, is, food's coming out of her mouth. She's not making sense. She starts scratching her face. There's blood, and it's just, it's Thanksgiving, and I wanted to be with my mom. And to be honest with you, I was getting a little bit sick, and I was getting a little frustrated, and my mom had to use the restroom. And so she left, and it's just us and Janet, and it's awkward. And out of the blue, this elderly patient who was not very cogent looked up and as clear as day said, "Your mom is the only one who loves me." And I'll never forget being immediately convicted in my soul, because my mom was showing love to Janet, and I was frustrated with Janet. I was rebuked because Jesus calls us to love the unlovable. Because in the grand scheme of things, compared to the holiness of God, we are unlovable, but he loves us still. So the challenge for this particular chapter is this, and this is a challenging one. Get a friend, or go with your family or your spouse or some trusted Christian person, and go to a homeless part of your community and find a homeless person and see if you can buy them lunch or dinner and hear their story. My wife and I did this with Clifton, and he opened up his life, and we shared the gospel with him. He didn't trust Christ, but it was powerful. We walked away from that. My wife said, "I will never look at homeless people the same way again." If you feel uncomfortable with this because maybe it's danger in community or whatever, do something equivalent. You can make your own challenge here, but if you can, I encourage you to get someone else and take a homeless person out and find out their story and share the gospel if possible. That's the challenge, a difficult one, but through the power of Christ, you can do it.
So, some main issues with this. I reject this completely. The problems that we have with this is we're focusing on a works-based faith. That is what we are doing here, because here's the key points of the challenge. The idea of the challenge is because you have somebody that is lesser, that maybe isn't functioning at the same level that most people would be functioning at, or isn't able to make for themselves, means that most people have in society, like you see in the story with Janet. And so the idea is good, that you go out and you go help a homeless person. But here's the problem with it. You need to actively seek out a homeless person. That's kind of weird. Second issue with it is you now need to take them out to lunch and force them into a conversation. You're making it about yourself. You're not making it about them. And you're trying to do a works-based faith because you're trying to do kingdom work. Here's a different idea. Instead of actively seeking like a homeless person and taking them out to eat, which is a sweet idea, I'm not going to lie. It's a sweet idea to do that, and I've done that for a homeless man. Like, for example, let, let me give you guys the challenge, and then I'll give you my story of when this happened to me. So, what you need to do is um, anybody, whether they're, you notice that they have any sort of need, when you're going to the grocery store, when you're going to the movie theater, when you're going to the mall, when you're going to anywhere, if you see someone that seems like they're having a hard day or they're down on their luck, go up to them and start a conversation and say, hey, you feeling all right today? Maybe see if there's anything that they need. Maybe if there's anything that you could buy them. Maybe if there's anything that you could help them with. And then try to make this a conversation that you would normally have. Like, try to make this a God-focused conversation. Try to bring God into it. Like, for example, not the example I was going to give, but when I've gone to the grocery store, I've seen some of the homeless people that stand outside. And I'll be like, hey, man, you need anything today? And they'll tell me milk, food, donuts, something like that. And I'll be like, yeah, man, I got you. I'll get you taken care of. So then I get it. And then as soon as I get to them, I'll be like, hey, man, so what's your name? Talk to him, tells me his name. Good to meet you, man. I'm David. And then, so I mean, I wanted to know, man, can I pray for you for anything? And they'll usually give this weird look of, I don't know. You can't think of anything. God can give you anything in the world, and you can ask for anything. And then that usually gets them to go where they ask for something. So I pray over them, but then I'm like, can I put my hand on your shoulder while I'm doing this? It's a way to connect with them. And it's nice to feel touch from another human being. But, you pray over them, you put your heart into it, and then that allows you to have a conversation from there. And or you can just stop it right there and move on with your day. You want to show kindness and love to anybody who meets you. And here's an example that I have. Two examples. One where I did what Greg Stier did, and one where I did what I'm talking about. So the story that I did what Greg Stier did, there was one time where I decided I wanted to do something good in the community. And I happened to have extra money. And I was like, okay, I'm going to buy like a little care package of food and water. And I'm going to find the nearest homeless person that I can find and give it to them. Well, fortunately, I found this one homeless person that was right outside of a Walmart. And, she was holding her sign up and had this big grocery cart of all these things. And so I made a care package. I went up to her with the care package, and she was sleeping on the bench. So I just put it in her cart gently and just left it there. I didn't wake her up. I didn't do anything like that. I just left her some food and just left it at that. And that's kind of vapid in doing that. But here's another example of where I had an actual moment where I actually got to live out this challenge. So I was going to Burger King because I was hungry for Burger King at the time. And just as I was walking in, this homeless man approaches me. He's like, they're out to get me. And I'm like, who's out to get you, man? He's like, the police. They're out to get me. They're out to get me. I was like, that's got to be rough, man. You doing okay? And he wasn't coherent. He was definitely stringed out. But he was like, he started yelling something. And I was like, man, you got some passion in you, man. Just look at him, make eye contact. I wasn't even affected by the fact that he was yelling. And then he did like this smile that I remember to this day. That was just like, I could see his humanity in there. And he was like, hey man, can you like get something for me, some food? And I was like, yeah man, come in with me. Let's get you some food. So we go into the Burger King. Turns out they didn't have any working card readers. So I was like, okay, well, let's go to the Domino's over here. So we go to Domino's. And this was a strange situation. So I got some food. I asked him what he wanted. He wanted like a pasta salad thing. So I was like, okay, I'll get that for you, man. And I sat down with this guy and I was eating with him. I was trying to have a conversation with him, try to get to know him and maybe like hear a little bit about his life story because I was interested in getting to know more about him. And then what happened was the staff came over and one of them was a Sicilian guy and he was like, he basically wanted to start a whole fight with this guy because he was saying racist things to him. And I was trying to defend the guy and defuse the situation and be like, "Hey guys, let's all get along. Let's not make war. Let's be civil." And then I was telling the Sicilian guy that was like, "Dude, I just ask that you have forgiveness in your heart, man. Just let him eat. He'll be gone. He'll be out of your hair. He doesn't know where he is. Like he's completely strung out. So just I ask that you have forgiveness in your heart for him, man." Um, but anyways, he went on his way. He had a nice warm dinner. He was able to at least survive another day. But that situation was organic. It was something that happened naturally. And you got to, that's how you got to do this challenge. So just to remind you guys, the challenge is not what Greg is telling you to do. Find a moment that you can bring God into somebody else's life, or find a moment where you can do almsgiving or give something and do a service to somebody else. And this can't be just like you go to your family and you do it. It has to be something that organically happens where you're meeting somebody's need. Because that is much better than what Craig is offering. But that is all from me, guys. Feel free to bully me in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong. I look forward to hearing from you guys. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and peace be with you.